Welcome to Insight Builder channel. Can you tell me about Argilla? Deep dive into building blocks of datasets in Argilla. Before we move further, we need to understand why datasets. We have already, if you have looked at the earlier videos about Argilla in this particular playlist, you must have seen that the Argilla server provides a very intuitive user interface for annotating the datasets. However, we need to understand why they have preferred the roots of datasets. What is the problems that these datasets solve? First, the datasets provide a way to create a user interface for annotation. That's the primary problem that the Argilla datasets solve. Meaning, you will have a dataset which contains lots of records, which might be raw data that is coming from the from your domain, which you want to annotate. If you want to classify it manually, or you want to give some corrections, you want to rate it, I mean, whatever activity you want to do, that is one of the sole problem that datasets is solving. Apart from that, datasets provides additional solutions like creating templates for NLP tasks. What these templates are, how these templates impact how you train the NLP models. All these things we will see in this continuing series of videos. Next, there are different kinds of question formats that you can ask for each of the record. This is also one of the points that I really I did not even imagine that when I was trying to review the options that is available in Argilla for the questions. It's quite a fascinating set that's available. We will look into that overview in this discussion. Also, there is a methods for extracting the responses that is given by the annotators, and we can create an interface to extract the datasets for training. So these two things, like creating methods for creating the methods for response extraction and interface for extracting dataset, it's little bit different. The responses here that I'm talking about is the annotator's response. Like you have a dataset and you are going to give it to a group of annotators who are going to rate it based on the output. That response, the rating response or the feedback response, that can also be extracted. And this interface that I'm talking about is taking that entire data set that you create inside the Argilla and send it for training. So there is an interface that is provided in Argilla to various other applications like transformers, not applications basically, libraries like transformers, setfed, spaCy, etc. So these are the primary challenges that datasets solve, and they are solved using the Argilla servers. Now, next question, why deep dive? Why deep dive into datasets? The primary reason is that we need to understand how the internal workings of datasets and what kind of tasks these datasets are solving, how the annotation flow happens in each of the dataset and each kind of the questions that we ask. Also, we will practice with some very small examples so that you can get comfortable with the dataset that is present inside Argilla. That's very important. If you are going to use the Argilla datasets, one thing is that if you're going to fine tune a large language model for your application, then you are going to implement some kind of a large language model or a AI model for getting the inferences, right? And you want the AI model to improve time and again. Argilla's datasets can provide a very good interface to collect that data from the large language model and feed back the training data to improve the model. So these two things are very crucial, and Argilla datasets actually helps us in that particular aspect. Also, most important thing is that we can write helper functions to process big datasets. Once you complete the deep dive, it will be much more easier for you to visualize what goes on into the datasets. I mean, what is the input and what is the output, and you can write the functions appropriately from your application side. Actually, the Argilla server itself is going to be kind of a database to which you are going to push the dataset and you are going to pull it back. And all this pushing and pulling of data is going to happen automatically most of the time, because you are not going to do it manually, right? That's the whole idea of creating all these automation tools like Argilla. But understanding how the tool works by using very simple examples is very basic way to learn about it. That said, let's go to the next step. We have seen why to deep dive, we have seen why datasets, but what datasets am I talking about? Inside Argilla, there are two generations of datasets, in fact. So there is second generation and first generation. So the first generation is called older datasets inside Argilla, and second generation is the recent generation called as feedback datasets. And this feedback dataset is very different, and it has got a lot of power built into it. So literally, if you look at this table, this has been taken from the Argilla documentation. Let me zoom in a bit so that you guys can see it better. If you go to the choose a data type, data set type in the documentation, you will see this area. So this is where I have taken this particular table from, and you can see that the number of tasks that Argilla can support is, quite versatile, right? Going up to image support, starting from basic text classification. It supports almost all of the tasks and more than what is supported inside Hugging Face Hub. So all the NLP tasks are taken care, and apart from that, they also support RLHF. This is one of the important parts where the large language model is made to align to a particular type of output that you want. So using these algorithms like supervised fine tuning, the proximal policy optimization, dependent policy optimization, that is called DPO, all these algorithms are already you have to implement them separately in like transformers or set fit, but the data set that you're going to prepare for this can be done easily with help of Argilla. So apart from this, there are other tasks. I'll be diving into these tasks separately, and we'll be taking separate videos on that. Okay, now comes the how datasets. So we have seen the why, we have seen the what. Now how the datasets are built. So datasets have 5 parts. They have fields, they have questions, metadata, vectors, and guidelines. Yeah, one dataset has all these internal objects. Okay, these internal objects further have their own parts. So that's why I have created this hierarchical framework. So the fields currently has only text field. So Argilla is planning, the development team is planning to create multimodal field also. It's in development experimental stage. I'm not sure. That is the stage at which the other fields are right now, but steadily they will introduce that. As of this video, it's still not introduced. So the text field here you see will have these arguments. So fields will have text field currently, and I will be delving into these fields separately, and we'll be seeing how to define it and how to operate it in the next coming videos. And then comes the metadata. When it comes to metadata, there are 3 types of metadata. There is terms metadata, integer metadata, and float metadata. All these have common arguments like name, title, and visible for annotators. And when it comes to the uncommon ones, for terms metadata it's values, for integer and float it is min and max. So this might sound very abstract right now, but in the next video we will dive into the workings of the metadata, the datasets, etc. So stay tuned for that. Now finally, next we have questions. So questions are really versatile. There are lots of options here, like how you saw that there are lots of tasks. So each and every task will require different kinds of questions that you need to ask to the annotators, right? So that's why you have all these types of questions: label questions, multi-label questions, span, rating, ranking, and text questions. So these are the various types of questions that you can create inside Argilla, and the common questions arguments are name, title, required, and description. Here is description. When you look at the overview of the label, multi-label, span, you will see that they have labels, visible labels, and fields. So these are present inside these label related questions. And when it comes to rating and ranking, it's primarily the values. And when it comes to text, it's primarily text that is going to be special for that particular question. Now let us look at the overview right now. Forget about this for some time. This will be discussed later. That's about deleting the datasets. Now, if you see here, in this discussion we saw about the deep diving into the datasets. We saw why datasets, I mean, what are the problems the dataset solves. We saw why to actually deep dive and understand the datasets. I explained you the reasons why you might want to understand the next couple of videos, what kind of datasets are there and what kind of task the datasets can solve. We saw that, and all these tasks will be handled separately in the coming videos. And the parts of the datasets, we looked at the parts, and we saw that there are 5 parts, and each of the 5 parts had their own internal parts, and we saw how to build these parts one by one. All these things we saw in this video. So I believe that you have got some overview, not actually an in detailed description of what's going on, but stay tuned for the next video where we'll dive into each and every task, NLP task, and we will try to see what kind of datasets can be used for these tasks, and how to create the dataset, how to create the records, and how to use it in the UI. So all these things we'll see in the next video. So till the next video, I believe that you have learned a thing or two in this discussion. So do leave a like and share your comments, and also most importantly, do subscribe to my channel for further updates on similar kind of videos. With those things said, do practice using setting up the Argilla. Look at my earlier videos, you can set it up. It's pretty streamlined process. All you need to do is a single click, you will be able to set it. So with that, do practicing and try to get a hands-on. So till the next video, have a great time, and see you guys.